A few months ago, I went to the shop. Before I even said hello, the shop assistant already said, Was? Ich verstehe nicht, which means I don't understand. So, just seeing me from a distance, he had decided that he was not able to understand me in any case. So, he could not even realize that I simply said hello. Okay, why am I saying this? For us to be able to understand fast English native speakers, you just need to be intentional. Watch a video with the intention to understand. Engage in a conversation with the intention to understand. Do not plan that the native speakers will be too fast, so you will not understand. When you take that decision, you block your mind, and by the time someone is speaking, no matter what they say, you already assumed that you won't understand, so you do not understand anything. So be intentional about understanding. Once you decide to be intentional about listening, even fast English will suddenly become easy for you to understand. Some people listen to English passively. They just let the sounds hit their ears. Then they expect to understand. And suddenly they feel frustrated. It's like going for yoga classes and just standing there. At the end of the day, you haven't done anything. So when I talk about being intentional, you need to decide on what to listen for. Decide to get the meaning and not perfection. Just decide that at the end of the conversation, you're going to grab something. So when you decide on what to listen for, you focus on meaning and not perfection. You will notice that you are able to guide your brain and not just react. Let's be honest, when Germans listen to English, they try to translate every word in their minds. They try to catch every detail. And they try to understand grammar. That's not necessary. You don't need that. What you need is the message. You just need the message. Let's look at one intentional rule for listening. First, listen for purpose. Before you listen to anything, ask yourself, why am I listening to this? Is it for general idea? Is it for details? Or is it for emotions? If it's just for the general idea, then what you need is the topic, the main action, and the key result. Focus on these three things. It will be easier for you to understand. The second rule is listen for structure and not for words. English can be messy, but it is structured. So just listen to focus on the who, where, what, why, when. Boom, you understand. Don't try to treat every word like it's very important. No, it's not. Focus on the structure and you are there. Story time. I remember one of my supervisors in a company I worked for before. So every time she saw an English native speaker come in through the door, she takes the back door. Either to look for someone who was going to attend to that client or just wait there until someone else takes over. And funnily, she speaks very well. She understands very well when she's with the team. But she just had it in her mind that English native speakers speak too fast and she won't understand. If she had to stay with you, it was just to find out if you speak German. And we always discussed about that. Why do you take the back door? You speak well, you understand everyone else. So how comes that you always run away as soon as you see someone come in or they speak English right from the door? And she started giving an ear. She decided to understand. She decided that she was going to start understanding the native speakers. But what happened? After we spoke, there was a day there was no one to help her. She stayed there She listened to the client, responded, and she solved their problem. So it's just a matter of deciding to understand, be intentional, plan to understand. And what I always say is that if you understand just 50%, 50% is okay. The next thing will be for you to train your brain. That's the intention switch. So before you press play, tell yourself, I'm going to listen only to the main idea. Then pause after about 30 seconds. Ask yourself, what is it all about? And if you understood just 30 to 40% of what it's all about, that's fine. Give yourself the permission to understand 30, 40 to 50% of anything you've watched. That will take away pressure. It will take away that pressure and encourage you to listen more. Then, predict before listening. Just look at the title and imagine or guess what they will say or what will happen next. So before they start, you have predicted something, you have something in your mind. And what happens is that you stay focused, you concentrate, you are active, you listen actively. Because at this point, your brain becomes active and not passive. You've guessed something, you've predicted something. You want to follow up and be sure that it's exactly what you predicted. If not, so what's happening? Then repeat with purpose. Watch the same clip 2 to 3 times. The first time, you listen for the idea, general idea. The second time, for details. And the third time, for words, for specific words. And if it's a face-to-face conversation, if it's not just watching a video, listen the same way. Then you can ask follow-up questions. But if it's a movie, do this 3 times and see the result. By the third time, you realize that you must have understood the text without even translating certain words because you had the intention to understand. You gave yourself the permission to understand. Try this in every situation, in a restaurant, or when you meet friends for a cup of coffee. If there's any conversation going on, keep your ears open. What are they talking about? What are the details? What should I take with me? And if there is any doubt, just as I said before, ask follow-up questions to be sure. This will build your confidence. It will build your confidence. And the next time you listen to something, you realize that every time you understand more and more, but you have to be intentional. People can listen. If you decide to understand and you are already learning English, you will understand. You just have to be intentional. Everyone can be intentional about understanding. You can understand the fastest English speakers. You just need to be intentional. If you decide that you are going to understand, you will. If you keep it in your mind that people are too fast, they use a lot of strange words, they connect words, they swallow sounds, you will not understand anything because you've blocked your mind. This takes me to a story or a situation. I was traveling by train from Heilbronn to Ludwigsburg. And there was an announcement going on. So what he said was that the train was not going straight to Stuttgart as intended. So we all had to alight. Where? In Ludwigsburg. So his German was, I would say, more broken than mine. But everyone was attentive. He said where we were going to stop, Ludwigsburg, and where people going to Stuttgart, to Tübingen, to other places were going to take the next bus. I heard where I had to take my own connecting bus. And after we left the train, I realized that no one was confused. People all knew exactly where to go to. And it was in my bus that 1 or 2 people asked what was the problem, what happened. Because at the time that he was talking, no one cared about what's happening to the train. We all wanted to hear where he's going to stop, where we will alight, which bus we are going to take, and to which destination. So in spite of the way he spoke, we all understood. No one complained about his German because everyone was intentional about listening and understanding him very well. They had to understand, so they decided to. That's exactly what I'm saying. If you decide today to understand intentionally, that will really change a lot of things for you. You will understand more than you can even imagine. So my final message is that you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to understand every word, everything, and every grammar. What you need to do is just to be intentional about understanding. When you control your listening, you control your understanding. So I have a small assignment for you, so we don't just listen without taking action. What you're going to do today is take a very short video, follow the tips that I just gave you, watch this short video 3 times, then send me a message in a comment. I'm very sure it's going to be easier for you this time to understand. Just send me a message and tell me how easy it was. If you finally want to understand real English and not textbook English, then subscribe, like, and share this video with someone who also like to have tips like this or who can also benefit from tips like this.